So I specialize in slow and extremely slow students because I believe that the number of such students is great. So we, I think, underestimate that there are more slow students than we usually think. So if this is the outline of my presentation, I'm not going to read it, just have a look at it, but this is very important. Who is an average language learner? So you can see Italy and Hungary here. By the way, according to recent surveys, 50% in Europe don't speak any foreign language, and Hungary and Italy are among the worst countries, the position knowing foreign languages is very poor there. So if we take any class, have a look at this list. Who is an average language learner? So should be somewhere in the middle, the third or the fourth one. Learns quickly or learns slowly. I believe that I have been teaching for many, many years, and in my classes I usually had maybe 70% of slow students and only 30% we can say that they were quick students. So I have been using my own method of teaching, which I call the speech plasma method, and this name appeared only 2 years ago because I just liked it, and I will try to explain to you why. So what is speech plasma? So in physics, plasma is something very, very active. It's superconductive state. It's the forced state of matter, and it has ability to conduct electricity and to react very rapidly to electromagnetic fields. And if we take our state of mind when we speak any language, we can see that something strange is going in our minds. There is something very active, like in plasma, with superconductivity that reacts rapidly to our thoughts, ideas, to our emotions. We don't know where the idea, the thought is, and where the sentence is. Everything is mixed, melted, and we just say what we want to say. And now it is very easy for me to explain to my new students what plasma is. They come and I say, you speak your own language perfectly. You have 100% speech plasma in your mind. And now we will check and measure your speech plasma in English, for example. And we have special exercises, special drills that we use to practice, to teach to speak the language. And I will show later these exercises, these drills. Now I would like to explain what happens to quick students and to slow students in class, and we can show it using chemistry. You can see salt, how it dissolves in water. Water is a very good solvent for salt. It disintegrates the ions of sodium and chloride, and they dissolve in water. Something similar happens to the words and meanings in our mind. They have to be dissolved for us to be able to speak fluently, to use the language. So we can't use just words when we don't, when they are not dissolved in our mind. What happens to quick students and slow students? So, for example, the first glass is a slow student, and the glass in the middle is a quick student. The teacher gives the language material to both of them, and the quick student dissolves all the material very quickly, and the slow student can't do that. Then the next day, another portion of material, the quick student manages to do everything, and the slow student cannot. In some time, the first glass will be full of salt, and the quick student will start speaking the language. The first student, the slow student, is very nervous and frustrated because he can see how well the other student is doing, and he thinks he is a complete idiot, he is stupid. But in fact he is not. He is, sometimes I have met scientists, very clever people who can't learn to speak a foreign language. So he's just a slow student, and we should help him. What do we do in this case? We give the first granule of salt to both of them, and we stir the solution 10 times for the quick student, and it works for him. The granule dissolves. Then we stir 10 times for the slow student, nothing happens. 100 times, maybe nothing happens after that. We should maybe stir 1,000 times. And when this first granule dissolves in this solution of, let's call it now speech plasma solution, because it's different from a salt solution, it becomes somehow magic solution. So the slow student is not a slow student anymore. He is somehow in the same position as the quick student. And from now on, there could be a competition between the quick student and the slow student. The slow student has to work hard, of course, harder than the quick student, but the quick student is usually a lazy one, and the slow student can overtake the quick student at some point and start speaking the language sooner than the quick one. So I would like to show what happens in teaching languages. So when we teach a language, with some students, it happens very well. They start speaking the language, and with some students, nothing happens. They can't speak the language because you can see that in the picture on the right, you can see plasma, speech plasma in the middle. It is born. At some point, after 2 years, after 3 years, it is born. 50%, maybe 50-50. For 50 students it works, and for 50 students it doesn't work. I will show, we have an animated picture how it happens. It happens in a form of an explosion, I think. Overnight, you wake up and you start speaking the language at some point. But for slow students, nothing happens. So you can see this is the process of learning the language, more and more knowledge, more and more practice, and then suddenly in the middle the speech plasma starts working, and then from that point on you can speak the language. So enough answer. Enough. And with slow students, nothing happens. The same, they learn, and they feel very unhappy and frustrated because they have been learning the language for quite a few years and they can't speak it. What we do, we start the very first lesson with speech plasma training. We make them speak the language from the very start, So this is, we start with plasma, not wait until this plasma starts working by itself, but we practice this plasma for it to start working maybe at the very first lesson. So you can see now, we start with speech plasma. So this is speech plasma, and then slowly it grows, and 100% of our students speak the language, because we don't allow them not to speak the language. We have special practice for them. Now you will see a video how it works from the very, very beginning.
The most important event in learning languages is speech plasma birth in our mind. To conceive speech plasma, we need a text, a short story containing 10 to 15 sentences. The text should be very simple and easy to remember, even for a complete beginner. Let's take the text of 12 sentences made from 24 basic words. All in all, there are 60 words in the story. Start speaking the text slowly. It is always very hard to get used to a new foreign language. After applying special speech plasma training techniques and practicing the text again and again, you will be able to overcome the difficulties and speak the story quite fast. As soon as you reach maximum fluency and get the feeling that it is very easy for you to speak the new foreign language, speech plasma has been born. Add a portion of new basic words. Now there are 18 sentences in the story. As you can see the new words, slow down your fluency of speech. Carry on practicing the text until the quality of speech plasma reaches 100% again. Add some more sentences to the story, the future tense, and keep on practicing to reach 100% fluency. Born at the very beginning of the training, speech plasma becomes the engine for further absorbing of the language. Add another portion of sentences, the past tense, and convert them into plasma. From now on, the speech plasma will never die away. It will stay with you and help you conquer the new language. Speech plasma training is the fastest way to start speaking a foreign language.
So, this is the way we start teaching our students with very, very simple texts, and after that, the slow students never exist. They are very happy from the very beginning, because usually they hate grammar, they like speaking, and they are successful in speaking, and they are very happy in their learning. I will show you some of the drills that we use, and you can find them on YouTube. They are for teaching and for testing. Well, how to test speech plasma. With the people who can speak the language fluently, I can give you a short text, and you can repeat it word for word. For example, Julia works in a big office, she often comes late, the manager doesn't know that Julia often comes late because the manager often comes late too. And the student should say the same text immediately because he should grasp my text, plasma, and say. It's not difficult if you can speak the language, but if you can't, you have a problem, we teach you how to do it. So there are some, so this is the way we get a student who hasn't got speech plasma in his mind, and we start training our training course until this plasma is born in the middle of his mind. So let's, there are some examples.
Training 2. It is 8 o'clock. Mike is at home. He is drinking tea. It is 9 o'clock. Mike isn't at home. He is going to work. It is 10 o'clock. Mike is at work. He is working. It is 11 o'clock. Mike is at work, but he isn't working. He is drinking coffee. It is 6 o'clock. Mike isn't at work. Mike isn't at home. He is in a pub. He is drinking beer. It is 8 o'clock. Mike is at home. He is watching TV and drinking tea.
Okay, so one of our drills, and this I use this text to measure the teacher who comes to my school. So once a teacher came who was a specialist in Russian and German, I gave him this or her this text, and she was able to say the text fluently in Russian but not in German. So a teacher who can't repeat such easy text, can't teach in the school. There are some more. Do I have more time?
5 minutes.
All right. So I will skip some other trainings. So there is a more difficult exercise for tenses. 12 tenses in one exercise.
Bob is a famous writer. He writes 2 books every year. He wrote 2 books last year. He will write 2 books next year. He is writing a new book. He has been writing the book for 3 months. He has written 150 pages. When I met him 2 months ago, he was writing the same book. He had been writing the book for 1 month. He had written 50 pages. When I meet him in 2 months, he will be writing the same book. He will have been writing the book for 5 months. He will have written 250 pages.
And we have hundreds of such exercises and such drills, and you can see we have 10 books at different levels, starting from beginners to intermediate and even upper intermediate students. All in all, there are about 1,000 special drills for speech plasma training, and we have another, so the name is Blackjack Comes Back. This is an application you can use on your smartphone, and you can download it free. The first, it has 10 chapters, and all in all, the story is a detective story. It has 50 pictures, and if you say 10 sentences on each picture, you will have 500 sentences all in all. And this is for beginners, and it's in present and in past. So, to make a conclusion, so what an average student is, so we have just spoken about it, and what I would like to say at the end of my presentation, I thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all very good results in teaching to all ages, to all students, and 100% of language speakers. So thank you very much.